Hello, this is Keith All, and welcome back to another tutorial. And today we're going to be going through another data set that we could do some data analysis with in Excel. And throughout this video, I'm going to ask some questions regarding this particular data set, and then we're going to answer those questions through various different Excel formulas. So our data set, as you can see, is an engineering manufacturing sample data. And it consists of a product ID, product name, the categories that it falls under, the manufacturer of that particular product, and the individual prices, and the stock quantity that this company has on hand for each individual product. So our first question we're going to answer is, what is the average price of our products? A reason for us to answer this is by understanding your prices that are competitive within a particular category, which means it's one question that we can answer and why it's important for you to know this. So to calculate the average price of our entire stock, or of the prices of the products, what we could do is we could use the average function. Let's press equal average, and then we're going to take an average. So we're going to take the average prices, and we're just going to select the range, control shift down arrow, control backspace, and then close out the average function, and then we get an average price. One way that we could verify this, let's select this column again, select this range, control shift down arrow, and if you don't know already, down at the bottom, Excel provides us with certain values once we select a particular range. And the average price down here, it says 3507. So control backspace, and as you can see, it calculates the same amount. So let's go to another question. Let's figure out how many products are in each particular category. So as you can see, our category column, we have different categories. In this particular data set, the categories, there's only two different categories. Now, why would we want to know this? Well, it could aid in the inventory management and stock replenishment for all your products. Now, we're going to do this in two steps. We're going to create a unique list first of our categories. So in order to do that, we use the unique function, equal unique. And then we're going to select the range of the values that we want to find a list for that are unique. So we're going to select this, control shift down arrow, control backspace. Let's close out the unique function. And now we get a unique list, which is electronics and mechanical. Now the question was, how many products are in each category? So we're going to now determine, well, how many products exist in this category, then in this category. So let's go ahead and delete this first, and then let's go over here. And now what we want to do is we want to use the COUNTIF function to do this, because we want to count the number of times a particular product exists within a category. COUNTIF, tab into that. Now we want to select the range of the product. So that means we're going to select the categories, range, control shift down arrow, control backspace. We want to fix this range because we want to copy it down to the next row. So press F4, comma, and then our criteria. Well, basically we want to find electronics within this range here. So we're going to select here. We don't need to fix it because we want to copy it down. And so once we copy it down, it'll select mechanical. So let's close this out, press enter. That's 16. Let's use the autofill, double click on this little box here. And now we found the products. Again, how do you want to verify this? Let's go over here to the data set. Control Shift L turns on the filters. We want to filter now on electronics. Go here, deselect this. So as you can see, 16 is what we want. Press OK. Now let's select the rows. And then down at the bottom, to the bottom right, you have a count of 16. So we know the formula is working. So in all these future questions, you could use this technique by filtering out your data set. So let's press Control Shift L. Make sure you're within the range. Okay, well, now let's go on to the next question. Let's scroll over here. Now, our next question is, what product has the highest price? So one reason you could do this is you can pinpoint which product is positioned as a high-end or luxury item in your inventory. So there are multiple ways that we could do this. Let's first utilize this by sorting the data set. So, and we're going to use 3 different functions within this. So let's sort it. S-O-R-T, tab into that. Let's select the range that we want to sort, which is basically your entire data set, or up to the price that we could do. Let's do that. Control Shift down arrow, Control backspace. Now, that's the array. So we want to sort this range here that we select. Now, the sort index refers to what column do you want to sort by. So since I selected all these columns, the sort index is we want to be able to sort on number 5, which is the price. So you count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that. And now, what do you want to, sort of ascending or descending? In this case, we want to sort it descending because we want to go from highest to lowest. So press -1, press close out the sort function, and now you got this. Now let's clean this array up that it returned. So what we want to do is we want to use the CHOOSECOLS function. Tab over. So this is the array. This is the array that we want to be able to choose the individual columns that we want to display. So in this particular case, we want to display 1, 2, and 5, the column numbers. So is the product ID, 2 is that, and then 5 is the price. So 1, 2, 5. Close that out, press enter. As you can see, it returns the individual columns from that sort array that was returned back. Now let's take this a step further. Now we want to be able to find the highest product out of here. So now we could use the take function. Tab over. The first argument is the array. So this is the entire array here. We just want to return the one row, which is from the beginning of the array. So we do comma 1, and that returns your highest price within this data set. That's one way that you could do it. Now let's go over here. How else can we do this? We could do this using the filter function and also the CHOOSECOLS function. So let's first use the filter function. Tab in there. What's the array that we want to select for the filter function? Again, we could use start from the first column, go all the way to F, Control Shift down there, Control Backspace. And now we want to, the next argument, what do we want to include out of this data set that we selected? Well, we want to be able to find the highest price out of this data set. So the highest price is, what we do is select the price column, Control Shift down there, Control Backspace. We want it to equal the max price out of this range. So we use the max function, Control Shift down arrow, Control Backspace. Okay, let's close out the max function. Let's see. See, that's correct there. And now we want to close out of the filter function. Press enter. And now we got this out of this. So now let's just select the columns that we want to see. So basically the product name or the product ID, the name, and of course the price. So let's do that. Now we can integrate the CHOOSECOLS function because we want to choose specific columns out of this array that we just returned. So CHOOSECOLS. The next argument, what are the column numbers that we want to choose? 1, 2, 5. Press enter. And now we got that. So as you can see, it returns the same thing as our previous example. Now let's take this a step further. What other way can we use to return the highest price? So let's do this. Let's use now the index and match function to do the same thing. So equal, we want to do index. Tab into that. Now, what is the array that we want to return? So in this particular case, we're going to return the product name. Okay. So all we have to do is select the product ID in this particular case, Control Shift down arrow, Control Backspace. Now, comma into that. Now, out of this range that we want to return, what is the row number that reflects the highest price? So now we use the match function, tab into that, and we want to return the highest price. Okay. And but before we do that, we want to return the max out of this. Let's first do this max function. We want the max out of this range here. Okay. And now, and then the second argument to match, we're going to also use the same range. Backspace. Let's close out the max function. The second argument to the max function is the lookup array is going to be the same thing. Control backspace. And then we want to exact match. So we press 0. close out the match, close out the index, and we press enter, and we get back the same value as the other one. But realize this, with the index and match function, it returns the first occurrence of that max price in this range. In this particular case, let's go back over here. It finds the first match, which is 200. So that's that one. Now let's go on to the next question. What is this total stock quantity for each manufacturer? So in other words, we want to find the total stock, which is we want to sum up the quantity for each manufacturer. So let's first, let me delete all this. And why do we want this? Well, this could be for tracking inventory levels for each manufacturer. This ensures that you can manage supply efficiently and avoid any stockouts or overstock situations. So let's first find a unique list of the manufacturer. Okay. So again, we use the unique function. Let's select the manufacturer list. Okay, now we got a list of unique manufacturers out of this data set. Now, what do we want? We want the total stock quantity. So that right there in itself, we want to add up the total stock quantity for each manufacturer. We could do this through the SUMIFS function. SUMIFS. Let's comment. Now the sum range is going to be the stock quantity column. Control Shift down arrow, Control backspace. And since we want to copy this formula down, because we want to find the total sum for each manufacturer, we want to fix it so it always looks at the same range. Okay. Now we want to go to the next argument. What is the criteria range? So in other words, in this particular case, we want to go to the criteria range is the manufacturer. Control Shift down arrow, Control backspace. We also want to fix this, F4, and criteria 1. So what do we want to find out of this range? We want to find this particular manufacturer. Okay. So we want to close out the SUMIF function, press enter, and we get a total of 2,500. Let's copy this down, and there you have it. That's how you find the total stock quantity for each manufacturer. Now let's go on to the next question is, how many products have stock quantities, okay, below a certain threshold? So in this particular case, I'm just using a threshold as 200, okay, the stock quantity below less than 200. So let's first do this through using the filter function and also CHOOSECOLS function. So let's first filter out what we want. Let's select the range, which is basically the entire data set. Control Shift down arrow, Control backspace. Oops. Let's do this again. Let's go straight up here. Let's see. Shift. Sorry for the confusion here. Let's Shift, Control Shift down arrow, Control backspace. And now we want to, what do we want to include? Well, out of this range, we want to find the stock quantity that's less than 200. So where are we going to find a stock quantity? right here in this column, Control Shift down there, Control Backspace. And now we want to find less than 200 in this particular case. And then we don't need the third argument in this particular case. Let's press enter. Okay, now let's choose the columns that we want out of this array that the filter returns. So let's choose cols function, tab over, and now we want to select, in this particular case, columns 1, product ID, columns 2, the name, and the stock quantity, which is 6 in this particular case. Press enter. And there you go. This is the range, okay, that is less than 200. So as you can see, it returned the products that all have a quantity of less than 200. Now, we want to be able to, the question was how many products have stock quantities below that certain threshold. So we want to now count these. So we could do a COUNTIF. Okay. We want to count the stock quantity. Control backspace. Okay. That is less than 200, comma. We want to put this in double quotes, less than 200, and then close this out and then press enter. As you can see, it returned a total number of 4, which is what you can see here. These are 4 different products. Now let's go on to the next one. What is the average price of products now in each category? Well, at the beginning, we got the average price for all the products, but now we want the average price for the individual categories. So let's find the unique categories. Again, we could use the unique function. And we want the categories. Let's close this out. Press enter. These are the unique categories. Now we want to find the average price within each category. So we could utilize the average if function, because average if allows us to have one condition. Now the range is, what do we want to average? Okay. So we're going to select that range. And that range is, we want to average by category. And we want to fix that because we're going to copy that down, F4. Okay. Now, what do the criteria basically, the criteria is going to be based upon the individual categories. So we want to select the category in this particular case, and we don't need to fix it because we're going to copy it down, and we want to adjust that value once it goes down to the next row. Okay, now, comma, what's the third argument? The average range. Oops. The average range. Well, we want the average price, so we want to select the price column. And we want to fix this because we want to use that same range for the next row. Press enter, and there's your average price. Let's copy that down. So that's that. Now let's go on to, looks like the last question is, what is the total value of stock? Meaning, what's the total value of the stock quantity for each product? So in other words, we're gonna figure out, uh, let's get a unique list of product names, and for each product name, we want to multiply the price times the stock quantity. So this will help us gain insight into financial worth of your inventory. Now, you can identify the high value items that might need extra security or special handling. That could be one reason for you to answer this question. So let's find the unique list of product names. Unique function, product name is going to be the product name column. And let's see, let's close this out. This happens to be the unique product list. And now we want to find the total value by product name. So equal. So basically, we're going to take the price times the stock quantity, and then just press enter. And there you have it. Now that's the total value for this particular product. Now we could double click to bring this down for everything. Now let's say just go for extra measures. Now, what is the total value of our stock quantity for all products? You could use the sum product function for that. Sum product. And basically what this is, it's going to take one column of data, multiply it by the other one, and then once it has that multiplication done, it sums up the entire value. So we're going to take this, the price column, control backspace, that's the first range, comma, the second range, we want to multiply this column, basically the price times the quantity, control shift down arrow, control backspace. Let's close out the function, press enter. And then that's your total value, which is 271,000. So that's how you could go about analyzing a particular data set. I create these tutorials because it's important as a data analyst to be able to take a data set and use all the functions at your disposal to be able to answer certain questions. And those questions are very important as a data analyst to go through any type of data set and extract the information that you want. Hopefully you got some new ideas with all the different functions that I presented. Again, I want to thank you for stopping by today. Thank you for watching this tutorial, and look forward to other data analysis tutorials in the future. Again, I'll be adding data analysis using also Python, so look for that in the future too. Again, please subscribe to my channel, and also please like and share this video. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to add a comment below. Thanks again, and you have a great day.